This program is a public service presentation of WPRG TV5, Harold, Kentucky. We've been off the air for a couple of months during the summer while I've been kind of on vacation. And now it's September and we're back, and we hope we'll have some good shows for you this year. I'm really excited today because with me I have two of my very best friends. I am on vacation, like I said, in the great Lone Star State down in Angleton, Texas. And I'm happy to have two friends that I met 5 years ago and haven't seen for 5 years. And now here we are back reunited. And I want to introduce them to you right now. The first here to my left is Tricia Deville. Trish, welcome to the show. And the second next to her is Debbie Armentor. Hi.
Hi.
And these ladies are poets, and I really didn't realize how good they were until just recently, especially Tricia. I didn't know that she had written as much as she has in such good poetry, and also some children's stories. I don't know if we'll get to hear any of those today, but anyway, she's really good, and Debbie has written quite a few poems, and of course I've read some of them before. But anyway, let's start out here and talk. We'll talk first to Debbie. Debbie, you want to introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Debbie Armentor. I am the mother of 3 girls. I have a 15-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 7-year-old. I'm trying to go to college and get a degree in office management.
So what are your hopes with this degree? What do you want to do?
Well, I'd eventually like to get a job in office management and be able to make some money to help my family.
Oh, well, that's a noble decision. Okay, Tricia, tell us a little bit about you.
I'm Tricia Deville. I'm married to a husband for 13 years, Phil, and I have 3 children, son 8, Clint 4, and Warren 2. And I'm a full-time mom right now, have been for 8 years, and will eventually maybe work if I don't homeschool. And I've just written very little poetry, just a few things, and I've written 3 children's books that I have not had published yet. But hope to.
You're talking about homeschooling. Is that prevalent in Texas?
It is now. It has been the last couple of years. It's really prevalent.
Yeah. Well, I know in here, well, there in Kentucky, since we're in Texas here, but it's really grown in leaps and bounds over the past few years. So I think that's something that's really good, bringing the kids home and being with their families and everything. Okay, I guess now somebody's going to have to read. And we decided before the show started that we were going to take it alphabetically. So that means Debbie goes first.
Okay, this is a poem that I wrote from my husband. We've been married 18 years, and this is, I'll just tell you a little bit about how I feel about him. It's called Memories. Do you remember how you stole a kiss that a day?
Start all over.
Okay. Do you remember how you stole a kiss outside my class that day? It made me feel so wonderful, I thought I'd float away. Do you remember the day we said our wedding vows? Little did I know then how much I'd love you now. Do you remember the day that our first child was born? Remember when you kissed my lips and said thank you, hon. A stolen kiss, our wedding vows, and our children 3. These things are just a few of many your love has given me.
I like that. That's so pretty. You don't have to worry. We make mistakes, so don't worry about it. If you start reading and you mess up, just go ahead and do it anyway. I was going to ask you where that came from, but I guess it's pretty obvious from hearing the poem. Do you write poems mostly about family, or what kinds of things do you write about?
I write a lot about memories, things that have happened in the past, or how I feel at the present sometimes.
Do you find writing to be therapeutic?
Yes.
It seems to be for me, I've always felt that way. It's the way I get out, feelings, bad things, good things, whatever. I like to write. Okay. Tricia, you want to read one?
Okay. These are 2 poems that I wrote to my husband about 12 years ago, and I think he's only read them once. I don't know if he even knows that these still exist or not, but I put them away. When I rest my head upon you, my heart can feel at ease. When I put my arms around you, my whole world's within my reach. When I wake up in the morning and I see you lying there, my whole life's at a standstill without a single care. Sorry.
It's okay.
When I say the words I love you, it's sweet to me off my feet, just to hear your gentle whisper of your warm and soothing voice. It's these and oh so many things that fit me in my dreams, the one that I go to sleep and wake up with my dreams. Sorry.
Don't. We've had people cry on the show before, so don't worry about it.
This just reminds me of times before we first married and no children and
back when you
the
had
honeymoon.
Yeah, when you had more time to spend together. Yeah. Well, it's kind of embarrassing, I know, when you start crying when you read your own work. It's like you think it's so great, that you've got to cry over it. But what it is, you put so much of yourself into this poetry, your heart and your emotions, and it has to come out. I read my poetry and cry. Sometimes I can just think of a poem and start crying over it. So don't feel bad about that. Do you have any plans for your poetry in the future?
I would eventually like to be able to write more poems about my marriage and about children. I like to write poems of happy things, just things that are pleasant and just, things that are just close to my heart. That's what poems are, just your emotions.
I think you're probably a little different from Debbie and me, because I've read some of Debbie's and I know a lot of hers. Well, she says they're depressing, but I just think they come from her heart and they're real solemn things. And whereas you say you like to write about happy things, I think it's good to get a mix like that of different people who write about different things in different ways. Now, sometimes people tell me my poems are too depressing, and maybe they are. I don't know. But anyway, I'll keep on writing them. Okay, Dave, you want to read another one?
Okay, this one's called Remember When, and it's about my teenage daughter. Remember when we stayed up late and tried my makeup on? Remember when we played cards from dusk to nearly dawn? Remember when the cat had kittens and you came running in to make sure we could watch together the babes being born again? Remember how I cried all night and hardly slept a wink? You grew up so very fast I hardly even blinked. What happened to this child of mine I carried here today? This child of mine has sprouted wings, and then she flew away.
Now how old is your daughter?
She's 15 now. She was about 12 when I wrote this, and she was just starting to grow up.
And did you tell us her name? You didn't tell your children's names.
This one's about my daughter Jocelyn. She's my oldest one.
And how old are your other children? What are their names?
Well, Catherine is 11 and Felicia is 7.
Okay, so you've got 2 more to grow up and break your heart.
Yes.
I wrote a poem when my oldest child is Seth. And when he was about 9 years old, I woke up one night in the middle of the night crying, thinking about him growing up, and he was only about 9. And that caused me to write a poem called My Baby Boy. And I can hardly read that poem or think about that poem without crying, because I just think about him growing up, and now he's like Jocelyn, he's 15, and I'm already starting to think about when he goes away to college or when he gets married. And it's so funny, these things we've been reading about, it's not like you would think poems should be about some high and lofty thing. You notice we've just been writing about everyday things. And I think that's the wonderful thing about writing, especially poetry. That's something, I go into the schools sometimes in Floyd County, Kentucky, And I talk to the students, and that's one of the things I always tell them. Write about something you know, because you can't write about something you don't know. And I think you are showing that through your poetry. And that's why it's good, because you are writing about what you know. Tricia, are you ready to read another one?
Yeah, this one I wrote the same time I wrote this other one. It's been a while. And I guess this one just more reflects just the way I look at things. Just, take time to look around you and just see the good things around. Take time to smell the flowers as we journey down life's road. We'll go through storms and showers with many blessings to behold. We'll share all of our good times along with all the bad. We'll both laugh when we are happy. We'll cry We'll cry when one is sad. We can look back at times gone by, the memories we share. Look forward to the years to come when we see how much we care. You're my every breath from morn till night. You're what keeps me alive inside. Yet you steal my breath at your very side. It made my heart glow inside. Sorry.
Sounds like you've got a very lucky husband. I want to look at these. I don't know if the camera can pick this up.
This is being so
But,
romantic.
what did you do here?
I intended on it. I had burned the edges to make it look old. It was done on some different type of paper. And it was something that you could frame or do something.
Oh, so were you going to put them together or separate frames? Or?
I guess separate, but it's something I decided I didn't want really at that time to share with other people. I kept it private for a while.
Okay, you almost burned it
Yeah.
far. That's a neat idea, though. I don't know. I
They're
don't know if I can
definitely
see
original.
this. Yeah, that's neat. Now, I said something about you write other things besides poetry. What kind of things do you write?
Well, the 3 books that I've written so far, just rough drafts, have been children's books, and one of them is called A Colorful Walk, and it just takes a child on a journey on a walk and helps them explore different things that they would have to use their mind to figure out what it is that we're looking at and describe it by the color so they know their colors. And another is called There Must Be Animals in This House, and it just goes through and describes a house in total
Chaos.
and you think that there must be animals in the house, but actually it's my 3 little children. And
Wonder where you got that idea. But we've all got, I've got 4 kids, and you've each got 3, so I think we know what a messy house is like. I sure do. And my kids, like I said, Seth is 15, and then Aaron's 13, and Becky's 10, and Rachel's 8, but still, we cannot keep the house clean. I think that's about the way it is when you have kids. And maybe when they get a little older and we don't have such a mess, we can even write more. Or maybe we won't have anything to write about then. Have you, either one of you, has either one of you contacted a publisher or anything about anything that you've written?
I haven't contacted one. I've received information, and I have a friend who has written a series, and she's published hers, and I hope to eventually do that.
Mm-hmm.
It just hasn't been the right time yet. I'm busy with my children.
Yeah. What about you, Debbie?
Well, I sent a poem to the Library of Poetry, and it won, and it was chosen to be put in their collection of poems.
And when will that be out?
March of next year.
Okay, this is like an anthology.
Yes.
Do you know the name of the book? Can't remember.
I think it's Sea of Treasures.
Sea of Treasures. Is this will be published nationwide, right?
I believe so.
Your poem will be in there with like other people's.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's an accomplishment. That's good. Usually the people we have on here, some are published and some are not. It really, doesn't matter, because if you're a good writer, you're good, whether anybody recognizes it or not. So, do you have something else you want to read?
Well, I'm going to read this one because you like it.
Okay.
This one's called Can You Keep a Secret? Can you keep a secret, a message untold? Can you keep a secret, a word from the soul? Secrets can hurt, they can make you cry. I've been told many, of this I'll not lie. Can you keep a secret, a message untold? Can you keep a secret, a word from the soul? Friends and loved ones are just a few, secrets so many, and none I'll tell you. Can you keep a secret, a message untold? Can you keep a secret, a word from the soul? Trusting are they who told me their tales, trusting are they that I will not wail. Can you keep a secret, a message untold? Can you keep a secret, a word from the soul?
Now, what prompted that? Or do you want to tell us? Is it a secret?
Well, I had people telling me things, and it just, I was keeping secrets.
That's something hard for me to do, is keep a secret, because it's like it's boiling up inside me and I want to tell it.
This poem was a way to control that.
I see.
I could
That's a
write
good
this,
idea.
and then, I was telling it to this.
Yeah. Now, you have quite a few poems there. Have you ever thought about getting a book of poetry published?
Yes, I have. A small book. So, I think I'd be interested in doing that eventually.
Yeah. Are these poems that you have written over a long period of time, or like the past year, or what?
I believe the last 5 years. I didn't really start writing poetry until about 5, maybe 6 years ago.
Well, let me ask y'all something, and this is interesting to me. I like to know, and I ask different people and I get different responses, but did you like to write when you were in school?
No.
No?
I don't remember that I liked to. I know in high school we did a lot of writing and always did good with it, but it wasn't something that I really was conscious thinking about doing. It was after high school.
It was just something you had to do in school. Yeah. Sometimes I think if kids were allowed to write more of what interests them instead of write a paper about this, and I guess that's important sometimes. I think it's good sometimes to just let them write what they want to, because then they enjoy it, and I think you do a better job. Somebody could tell me to write a paper on basketball, and I couldn't. I'd have to go do research anyway, because I don't know anything about it.
That's when I had the most interest, was my senior year, and the teacher gave us the options to write about what we wanted to write about. And I got a lot of good grades, so I kind of felt, well, maybe what I was writing was okay.
Yeah.
Got some approval.
I know when I was in college, we were supposed to do term papers, and the teacher let us do it on whatever we wanted to. And I really enjoyed doing that because I picked something that I knew about and something I was interested in. And when you get out of school, you write about what you want to write about. So I think there's got to be some way they can work that in, to encourage kids. Of course, you all don't know this, but where I live in Floyd County, they have a young authors program every year, and the kids, there are different categories, and the kids can write, about whatever they want. And then they judge it, and they win prizes, and they have a big banquet. It's just a wonderful thing that I think Floyd County is doing for young people. Do you all know of anything that they do?
They started doing that. A friend of mine who was just recently published in the last couple of years and has a series of 3 books, and she's working on more. She began that here on her own. She started that. She goes to all the schools, and she does author day, and she gives each of the children a chance. And then she takes it back to her publisher, and they will publish, the children's books that they've written.
That's nice. So do you have, are there publishing companies here in this area that you know about?
Not that I know of.
Yeah. Usually you have to go off somewhere else. Now we have 2, they're not real big publishers, but we have 2 publishers. There's MF Song Publications, that's Mark Song. He's the one who did my book, Down Murray Creek Road, which, by the way, you can buy at the Pikeville Public Library and probably read more big bookstores still. And then there's Jerry Boyd has got East Kentucky Publishing, and I think he's done 1 book so far. But I believe he is really interested in getting into it, on a bigger scale than Mark is. But I think that's important. If you can get a publisher in the area that is interested in the people of your area, then these hidden people who are just staying at home writing can be known. You know, I think there's so much talent. I think you all have shown that here today. So much talent that nobody knows about. Mostly because people are kind of shy and afraid to let other people read what they've written. But I'm glad, of course, I'll just tell it. I had to coax you all into being on the show, and like I said, women are really hard to get to do it, and I think women are more scared about making a fool of themselves or something than men are. Men don't care. Is there anything else? Do you have anything else to read, Debbie? That you'd like to read?
Well, I have this one right here I'd like to read.
Okay.
This is how I feel sometimes, and it's called Frightened Little Child. There's a frightened little child hidden inside of me, holding her bear and sucking her thumb. She cries so tenderly. She wants someone to love her. She wants someone to care. She wants someone to hold her and rock her in a chair. If I could take this child and hold her in my arms, I'd do all that I could to keep her from all harm.
Do you? Go ahead.
I was just saying that was sweet.
Do you? I know you said your poetry is therapeutic, but do you write for the purpose of helping your inner self?
Well, whenever I start having a lot of problems or things that I'm having trouble dealing with, it seems like the poetry just flows. You know, I'll think of lines, and I keep a little pad of paper and a pen next to me, and I'll just write, even in the dark, I'll write it down, and then the next day try to put it together.
The next day you can't read it. Now that's another thing that I try to encourage kids to do is write it down. No matter how awful it sounds, you can always go back and fix it. Yeah. But if you don't write it down, it's the next day, you know, you go to sleep and it's gone when you wake up. Now, that happened to me one time. I lost a whole poem that way.
I've done that too.
Yeah. And those thoughts, when they come, they're kind of inspired, you know, and you just need to write them down. And I think also you need to have set time, not a set time, but you need to make yourself write. You know, you shouldn't go for like months and not write. I think, you know, everything takes practice. That's another thing I tell the kids in school. Practice, practice, practice. Because if you want to be a great ball player, you don't just say, wake up one morning and you're a great ball player, you know. You have to practice, and I think writing is the same thing. And I wish that we could hear your stories, but I know you don't have them with you. They sound so good.
I would just like to say, I know Debbie feels the same way. We're just really pleased with what Ernie's done. We knew she had a talent when she was here in Texas, and I'm very proud that she's taken it back to Kentucky, that she's pursued it, and she's done a real good job with that.
Oh, thank you.
And she's been an encouragement to both of us. That's probably why we've tended to write more and think about writing more, and hopefully we'll do more. You've been a good influence.
Nice. We'll be watching for that. I'll be watching for that, and hope to see you all. Well, I hope to see the book that your poem's going to be in. Maybe I can get to see that, and then maybe your stories or your poems someday. I think if we work at it, you know, we can really do what we want to do with it. And I think that's true of anybody who writes it. You know, we were talking, Tricia and I were talking last night about a country singer that you know, and how he's worked hard and it's taken years, and someday he's going to be up there, you know, with the rest. And it just doesn't happen overnight. Nothing does. So that's why it's really important for everybody to work hard on their dreams, and they'll come true. Well, I want to thank you, both of you. I want to say how happy I am to have these ladies on my show, both together especially, because these were my two best friends when I lived in Texas, and now you're getting to meet them. And so I want to thank Tricia Deville and Debbie Armentor for being on the show. I want to thank Dr. Dawn for allowing me to come to you. And until next time, may God bless you.